Okay, looks like the recorder has started. So again, hello and welcome, whether you're watching this live or whether you're on the replay. Either way, I appreciate your joining and learning about AutoPilot today. We're going to show you how to send quotes, invoices, purchase orders, and much, much more in your Dynamics NAV software without touching your keyboard. We'll set this all up and show you how to use this thing. Okay, today's Wednesday, December the 12th. And just so you know a little bit about myself, my name is Rick Baxter, Cost Control Software. I help NAV users and resellers and consultants get the most from their software investment. That's kind of what I do. And so this is one little feature that you can add to your NAV software. You may have this installed or you may not, but this can be added to almost any installation of Dynamics NAV. And today we're going to show you how to use the product, not so much how to add the product. And I want to be sure that you get a really clear understanding of what the heck this thing does, and why we call it AutoPilot. So let's get started. So I want to scroll this down. Most of you have this study guide. If not, it is available right there in the GoToWebinar handouts section. Okay, this is all about how to automate common activities within NAV. Now, I'm not going to show you how to process sales orders. I'm not going to show you how to enter a accounts payable check. I'm not going to show you how to print a check or print a financial statement. This is kind of the back end of automation. Okay, and you may or may not know, but Dynamics provides a job queue for automation. From what I've heard from people and users, it's not very user friendly. I kind of think of it as an engine sitting there by itself, and by itself, it's not very useful. You have to kind of put a human interface around the engine. If you're going to have a lawnmower of some type, you got to have the wheels and a steering wheel and a bagger and so forth to really get the most out of that engine. So I want you to consider your target applications as you design this solution. I want you to think about how you and your company might use this software. So I'm going to show you some portions of it today. It's really all about the human interface to automation and how it works. So let's dive into this thing. Okay, so I'm going to start with the dashboard. We call it the flight deck. This is where you manage your automation. In fact, let me just bring that up so you get a first look at that. I'll give you a little tour of the flight deck. So this is NAV, by the way. I'm using NAV 2018. You may be on 2016, 2015, some other version, or the newer on-premise version as well for Business Central. This is all supported technology. Okay, so AutoPilot, I've got it in. It's kind of a departments thing. It's it's not really part of like jobs or purchasing. It sits back by itself a little bit, and there's only two choices. There's the setup, and I'm not going to take you through that, but I will show you the flight deck. And the flight deck is where all the action happens. This is where you set up your pilots. They're listed here on the left side. I've got one for sending out invoices, one for sending purchase order acknowledgements, one for sending ASNs, one for sales order acknowledgement, and one for some weekly reports. We're going to go through some of these here today. Up here at the top, this is the real-time status bar. It shows you what AutoPilot is currently working on. So you can kind of see it up there working away. It's flashing and it's trying to say, is there any invoices I need to send out? Are there any purchase order acknowledgements that need to send out? It's scanning through your NAV software, looking for activities that need to be taken care of. It's just sitting there working away in the back end, and you don't have to have, if I close this screen, it's still working. It's out there still working, looking for things. So it is, once you activate it, once you kind of start the task scheduler here, then it is perpetually going. And certainly the different pilots, we call them pilots, can be set as far as their status. In fact, let's just go into one of these. Actually, I'm going to jump back to the outline for just a second. I want to make sure I stay on track. I tend to get excited and I go all over the place. I want to make sure you understand the purpose of AutoPilot. There's three main areas. I'm going to take you through the first one here real quickly. Is eliminate redundant manual processes. There's so much time wasted today in manually sending out information to your customers, and yet you want to keep your customers informed. That's the purpose of this whole thing. You want to keep your customers informed, and so the idea is we want to automate that information sending to your customers or vendors or whoever you're communicating with through AutoPilot. And our first example I'm going to give you here is eliminating some of the redundant things that happen in companies, such as unmodified NAV reports. We want an unmodified, out-of-the-box NAV report to autofill in the request page and send off the reports. So I'm going to give you an example here of sending reports to 10 different salespeople. Actually, I don't think it's 10. I think it's 2, but you get the idea. We're going to send accounts receivable aging report every Monday morning. In fact, I get a report of our own company every Monday morning. Just comes in automatically. Nobody has to touch the keyboard, of an accounts receivable aging report. Pretty simple. Okay, you would probably like to get that as well every single day or every once a week, something like that, to know what your accounts receivables are. So I'm going to take you through the process of how you would set that up and what it would look like. So let me move this out of the way. And I call this my weekly reports. So it's this pilot right here. So this is the pilot. Each pilot, just a little background on a pilot, has a card. So there's an AutoPilot card up here where you set the pilots up. They have a name of some sort. You have some how it's whether it's triggered or not, the status of the pilot, who the ID is, the language code that's being used by it. And there's some other very important information as well, is the recurrence. How often does this pilot run? Does it run every hour? Does it run every once a day, once a week? What is the frequency? So you can determine how often that pilot flies by setting some formulas here. Okay, like maybe you want it to go at the start of the month or the end of the month. You can actually determine the frequency very easily by including how frequently this should run. I'm going to leave that blank for right now. But notice too, I can set these pilots up to run maybe just in January, or maybe I want it to run every month or every other month or once a quarter. You just put in the check marks to indicate how frequently the specific pilot is to run and on what day of the week you want it to run. Now today's Wednesday, so I've got to check for Wednesday because we're going to actually run this pilot so you can see it send off these reports. Okay, I think I'll mention one other thing here is the, I'm going to take a look at the actions. So in other words, under the actions, did you see where I went there? Let me go back. So up here, there's something called Edit Pilot Actions. This is what it's going to do. So each pilot, you'll set up a list of things that you want it to do. In this case, I have 3 reports that I want it to send. So there's the AR aged report. That's 10040. That's the standard NAV aged accounts receivable report. Outstanding purchase order status report, which is 10096, I think it is. Yep. And also the top 10 sales report, which is 111. And those are standard NAV reports. That notice they are all active. So, and you can add additional reports in here if you need to. All right. And certainly change these around, because when you buy the software, you're going to get these samples, but you'll want to put in your own, I'm sure. Okay, so let's, there's one other thing here I want to show you. I forgot about this. So I want to show you the delivery. Who are these reports delivered to? So not only do you find the reports that you want to send out, but you define the list of people that you're sending it to. So it's, I've got myself in here, Rick Baxter at costcontrolsoftware.com. I'm active. It could also go to Doug if I check that off, but I think I'm just going to send this to myself, and that way you can see it. So I want you to actually see it process. Okay, so that's the main two parts of a pilot. Let's go back to the main screen. Is for my weekly reports, and you can see those actions here on the right side. So we just built in a little view here for you so you can see what those reports are and who they are to be delivered to. Right now it's to myself, and all three of these are active. Okay, now the next flight date for this pilot is 9/19. I don't want to wait around till then. We want to go ahead and kind of trick the system a little bit because I want you to see this for the presentation today. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to edit the next flight date just to allow us to kind of force it to run. And we'll just set this up as 1/1/18. Okay, now I want you to watch the screen closely. I'm going to say, okay, watch closely here. And now it says it's picked it up. So in process, it's got the aging report. So it's doing the aging report. It's went really fast, the AP report, and then it's sending it to me. Let me bring on screen my, I was a little bit slow on getting this over here. Okay, so this just came in. This email just came in. In fact, you can see the little pop-up down here. So this just came in. So this is an automated email, and it came to me because I was the one that's active on it. And here's my aged report. So if I click it, you'll see it'll open up my aged receivables report. So this is out of my sample Kronos company. Pretty simple. Okay. As well as, I don't need that anymore. Close this tab. And I want to bring up the, oops, where's my Outlook? Did I just close my Outlook? No. Okay, so here is my POs. So here's my outstanding PO list. Okay, and the other one that would have come in, close current tab. Let's open up the Outlook again, and we'll take a look at the top 10 list. So all three of these reports are automatically being generated with fresh data. So that's the key here, is this comes in as fresh data. Patricia says, will it always send in a PDF format, or can we ask for an Excel format? Absolutely. Ask for any format you want, and it could be emailed, it could be faxed. You could maybe want to fax these to somebody. So a lot of options as far as the formatting of the reports. Okay, it's part of the design of each pilot. You kind of control how these reports are to be formatted and sent out. Okay, great question. Thank you for the question. Okay, so let's go back to our study guide. So I think you get the concept here. One other thing I guess I should show you is back on, I'm going to move this off screen for just a minute, is that each pilot has a log. So there's a detailed log here of, oops, was I on the right one? Yeah, okay. So it'll have a log of every time this has been sent. You can see I've sent these quite often, but you'll see down here the one for 12/12. So this has gone out there and sent this this log of these the entries. So there's a nice history of all the activity of those pilots kept in this what we call a flight log. We kind of, because it's autopilot, it's all airplane kind of stuff. So just bear with me on the names of these things, and that's why you see the statuses and, clear for takeoff and grounding the pilot. So we just kind of kept with a aviation kind of a theme to this particular add-on. Okay, so let's go back to our outline. So I think you get the idea of how you can send receivable reports every Monday. You can send you basically queue up the reports that you want to send out. You can send it to one person, or you can send it to 10 people. Maybe you have some sales reports that you'd want to send to your salespeople, or an owner's report that you want the owner to get a specific report, maybe a sales history report or something like that, automatically, because you don't have time to generate those reports. Come in and sit down and say, well, what reports does the owner want today? And I go and I click around and send those reports. In fact, that could go in the middle of the night. Why load up the system during the day, send that out during the night when the load on the software is lighter? So the other two purposes, which I've already mentioned, one of them here is eliminate forgotten processes. Oftentimes you kind of forget that you got to run this adjust cost, post cost to GL. It's like, why can't we just let AutoPilot take care of that? Or calculate WIP for jobs and post WIP to GL. Let AutoPilot do that. Calculate your inventory material availability reports, or generate some data as far as what your status is with the materials, what your shortages are. Any kind of things that you tend to forget or just don't want to take the time to do, set up a pilot to do that process. So think in terms of your own business, what you're doing on a regular basis that's taking up time, set up a pilot and let it go. And then the third thing is to run processes in off-peak hours. Some of the reports in NAV are fairly lengthy and take a lot of time to calculate. And so it's often nice to run those reports at 2 a.m. in the morning. You don't have to be there. AutoPilot will be there, and it will then create the report and either print it on your printer or send it to you as an email or fax it or whatever you want done with that particular report. So again, off-peak hour kind of concept. Okay, let's see how we're doing as far as degree of difficulty. See if you guys are following along. I want to put a quick poll up on the screen. Just grab your mouse there. Let me know what your thoughts are. Is this easy and you thought it would be harder? Or it's hard and you thought it would be easier? Or if it's not for you and you're going to drop off the call, that's okay too. But I've got a lot of good stuff yet to show you, so I'm going to encourage you to stick around. Okay, quick. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, boom. All right, I'll share it back, and bingo, 53% voting, and 100% say it's easy and you thought it would be harder, so that's good news. And we'll show you much more because I want you to do a fair assessment of this product. I think that's why many of you are here or watching the replay. If you're watching the replay, you want to really take a close look and see if this product would make sense for you in your business. Okay, so degree of difficulty. Let me mention a few other key attributes here of AutoPilot, and then I'll give you a couple more examples. One is it's real time. So for the process to be useful, it kind of shows everything in real time. So that flight deck, when you saw me in the management console there, it was showing everything in real time, what it's thinking about and doing. You set the specifications. So each pilot, each action that is to be run must have its own set of instructions. The date, the time, the action that you want it to do. So you have to give some thought to this. It doesn't just drop in. You got to think in terms of what do I want it to do. And we often like to have strategy sessions with our clients. So if you have some specific idea, like, oh, could AutoPilot do this? I'm having to generate these reports or send this information here. Just call me. I want you to call me. Feel comfortable calling me and saying, Rick, I saw your webinar on AutoPilot and I really need to know if it will do whatever it is. Okay? Just let me know or send me an email and I'll respond back as quickly as I can. The other attribute, several of them here, is delivery. Each pilot will have a unique delivery instruction, either by email or to a printer or to a fax machine. It also can be a one-to-one. One pilot could do one specific activity, send it to one person. Or, like you saw with those reports, it is many reports to many people. So it's a one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-many with this delivery options. Triggers. Let me just mention what a trigger is. This is a little bit of a technical term, but I think you'll understand. most of you on the call, I think, are reasonably technical here, is what triggers an action. So as I go through the next part of the presentation, think in terms of, is it a date that triggers it? Is it a time of day? Maybe this report's to be generated at 2:15 in the middle of the night. It's the time that maybe would trigger that event. Or it might be a data watch, what we call a data watch. Like, is there a new order? We've got customers that receive orders from their internet orders, and they come in, they want to import those into NAV. So we watch for a folder to have a new order in it, and when the new order comes in, we then AutoPilot picks up the order and enters that into the sales orders for them automatically. So there's no need for a human to kind of touch it. It just automatically senses that new order because it's watching for that new data and then puts the sales order in. And of course, the history. I showed you a little bit of the log, but there's several other logs as well. I think it's real important that you can see a detail of all the activities. So as far as workflow, it's review the pilots and then add any new ones. So typically you may be adding some new ones, but I think what I find is people will set up 5, maybe 10 pilots, and then you kind of set it and forget it. Because those are the ones you bought the software to do or what processes. So you're not constantly going in here making changes, although you certainly can. You can tweak pilots, you can make changes to them, but I like the concept of forget it once it's set up. Okay, I want to do one more quick poll and see if you guys I've increased enough interest to see some more examples. So I got 3 more examples I want to show you, but I want to be sure you want to see those. So just click up there and let me know if you'd like to see 3 more examples of AutoPilot. I'm going to grab a quick drink of water while you're clicking there. Okay, good. 67% voting. I'm going to close out the poll and share it back with you. And we've got 50% of you saying, yes, you can't wait to see more. That's great. 40% say, yes, I want to see more. And I love the concept and want to see more on that as well. Nobody's opting out, so that's good as well. And somebody asked if it's being recorded. Yes, this is being recorded, and there will be a replay available after probably be out by tomorrow, as Jenny will send this to you. Okay, so let's move that off of the screen because sometimes I forget to do that. Then you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to show you 3 more examples. These are fun ones. So the first one I'm going to do is an order confirmation. And by the way, these 3, you may or may not use any of these. These are just some examples. I just want you to see how it works. So you may just use the order confirmation and not use ASNs or not use sending invoices. But these all go together. So I'm going to send an order confirmation. So if you enter a new order into the software, we're going to send out a confirmation to the customer of that new order. Okay, very nice thing to do for your customers when they place an order for you. Then I'm going to do an advanced shipment notice, and then we're going to do an email of the invoice for that product. So let's do the first one here. Makes sense. We're going to create a new sales order to Celigorian, and we're going to set up the email contact. I've got myself set up as as who it's going to, and then I will we'll order 10 base items, part number 70,001, and we'll release it. And when we release the order, it's going to send the order confirmation if everything goes right. So let me just put this out of the way here. And okay, so I'm going to go back to your NAV and I'll show this to you like you're kind of doing just a typical sales order. So I'm going to enter a new order from a customer, And you may get orders from quotes. You may get orders from emails come in. They may call in. There's several different ways that orders come in to your system, but let's just add a new one. So we're going to add a new order, and it will be for, let's use customer 1000, 10,000. That's 10,000. Okay, you've probably seen this in other demonstrations. Come on. May not enter the number. Oh, I'm putting in the number. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so this, I was putting the customer number in the number field. Okay, so this is order. I'm going to write that number down too, by the way, so I don't forget. That is number 1043. That's our sales order number that we're doing here, 1043. And the name, who should we send this to? I'm going to use the Canon Group. And by the way, on the Canon Group, you can kind of see it here. I've got my phone number, and you can't see it exactly, but I've got my email address on the customer card as well. So that way you can see it actually happen. Otherwise, it would just go out, and you'd never know that it really worked. Okay, so we're going to enter a line item. So I'm going to put in an item. And what part did I say? 70,000, no, base, yeah, 70,001. Some base. So we're going to put an order in for some base, and we'll put 12 of these in here. And the customer's got an overdue limit. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so now we've got this new order in here, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to release the order, okay, which is what you typically do in your normal workflow. Once you get the order in, and you could have 4 or 5 lines, whatever it is, I'm going to release the order. And I've got my pilot set up to kind of watch for new released orders. That's what's going to trigger it. So it's going to say, oh, there's a new order. I need to send an order confirmation to this person. So as soon as I hit release, and this is all I have to do, is I'm going to hit release. Won't worry about the note. So I'm hitting the release, and internally, in fact, I'm going to bring my emails up on screen here, and we'll just wait just a minute, and I should be getting any moment now an email, because I'm kind of pretending that I'm that customer, right? And I'll show you how this works in a second. But I should get from my system administrator, Doug, okay, an email. And I get the little pop-up down here. Here it comes. And I can click on it, and it says the Canon Group. This is an automated email from Kronos. I'll show you how you can fancy this up too. And here is my sales order, and it's a confirmation. Let's just open this up so you can see it. So here's the sales order. You can put order confirmation, whatever you want. It's got the phone number, fax number, contact's name. There's the email address. Here's the 12 bases. And down here at the bottom somewhere is going to be the total. All right, so it's just a standard sales order. Yours may look a little different than mine. I'm using a reports pack from Cost Control for the boxes and the diagrams. If you like that layout, let me know, and I'll show you how you do that. Okay, so that's the sales order, and I just as an acknowledgement. And we can, yeah, we'll close all the tabs. All right. No, I pushed the wrong button. I don't need to save it. All right. So basically, we have just sent to that customer our sales order acknowledgement. Okay. Now that's just on a new order. That's step 1. Now step 2, for those of you that send a shipment notice, let's ship some of that order to that customer, and I want to do a partial shipment. I don't want to ship it all. I want to reopen that released order and basically do a partial shipment. We'll do shipment of 3, and then we'll post the 3. Now that post function, that's the next step, that's going to trigger a send order acknowledge the ASN, the advanced shipment notice. That is, in fact, I didn't show you this before. I need to go back just a minute. I suddenly thought I didn't show you what I did. So I'm going to park this out of the way. I'm going to park the emails out of the way. And before I do a partial shipment on this order 10, I'm going to exit out of the order. I want to show you one more thing. So I want to go back to my AutoPilot, which I've got up there on the menu. And we did that send order acknowledgement. That's this one right here. So send acknowledgement. So it's a trigger type activity. So it's triggering it, and it's sending this thing out based on this, what we call an action line. And it's sending the order. So here's the order. It's sending that form. Okay, there's the sales order number. So I'm using our special report, the reports pack sales order format with those boxes. If you like those, let me know. And it's basically, AutoPilot's sitting here looking for other orders that have come along. Now there's also in the background this advanced shipment notice pilot, and it's doing the same thing. It's sitting there looking at, are there any shipments that have gone out that we need to now notify the customer that we just sent a shipment out? And if so, then I want to collapse that and send the acknowledgement. So AutoPilot's sitting here in the back end watching what you're doing, running NAV. Okay, so do understand that's what's kind of happening. So now let's go back in. We'll go back to that order 10, what was it, 1043, down here somewhere, 1043, this one right here. So this is our order 1043, and we're going to do a partial shipment, okay, on a posting date. So we'll just use today as our shipment date, and we'll do a partial. So I'm going to come over here to the quantity to ship, and I'm going to change that from a 12 to a 3, and we're going to just ship 3. And so hopefully you know how to do this. Okay, you're just going to post the shipment. So we're going to post a shipment of those 3. So I say okay, and it's now basically, it's got 9 to go, so it shows that there's 9 left. We haven't invoiced any yet. We've just shipped 3. So that's what these numbers show here. Also, if you have ever seen this, there's a place up here where you can see these documents. It's kind of handy. Right here is shipments. And you might have one shipment or multiple shipments. So this is where you'd have a list of all the shipments that have gone out, because you might have, 4 or 5 shipments against a single sales order. You can always view those up here, all the shipments. There's the 3 that we just shipped. Oh, look, here's the notice that it just came in. So if I was the user, let's see if I can click on that. Yeah. Okay, so if I was the customer, I would have just gotten from Doug a notification, shows from cost control software, and this one's a little more filled out. Attached, please find a copy of the cost control shipment notice regarding the order number, and according to our records, that was shipped on this date via DHL. So you can have a default carrier. I did not put in a tracking number. If I had entered a tracking number, the tracking number would show on here as well. That's a nice convenience and service that you're providing to your customer when you're doing that. Okay, it's putting your name down at the bottom, and then maybe a tagline as well with some links to, this would be your website, not my website. Okay, so, and what does it look like? Here's the shipment document. So it's the shipment document notification to this customer that we're shipping 3. So it's saying that we're shipping 3. You ordered 12. We've got 9 on back order that will ship later. Okay, so a fairly simple shipment document that's going to go out to the customer. Okay, again, notice that I didn't do any special functionality or anything here. Wait a second, I don't want to do that. Okay, that is, to change anything, I just basically said ship it. I just do my normal NAV workflow, which is to go in, enter an order, release it, and then do the shipment. So you're just doing your normal processing, and instantly these things are starting to happen in the back end. Okay, so let's go back to the study guide and make sure we stay on track here. And let me go down. I've got that, close that up by mistake. Typical. Okay, so I want to show you the here. So we just did this advanced shipment notice. Again, just realize that AutoPilot's sitting there in the back end looking, and it goes, oop, there's a new one. I need to send it out. So it'll basically send it because that pilot is running constantly looking for that notice. Now, the one that I find is used the most. Now, you may use the order confirmation. You may or may not use these. You may or may not use the shipment notice, but I think everybody likes this one, which is to email the invoice, because that's how you get paid. You may send the invoice to your customers. So this will be the final demo, but I want to send a customer invoice. It's the pilot's called e-Invoice. So we're going to go back to the sales order. We're going to set the invoice to 3. So we're going to invoice for the 3 that we just shipped up here, and then I'm going to post it. And it's the fact that you're basically posting that event that creates an event, and AutoPilot picks it up and says, "Oh, there's a new invoice. I need to send this off to the customer." And I don't want my NAV user to have to do that. Let's just do it. So let's go. Pretty simple. So I'm going to close this out, park this for a minute. I'm back here on my order, 1043, and all I need to do is this step here is I'm going to invoice for the 3. So I'm going to tell it that I'm invoicing for 3, and I'm just going to post an invoice. Okay, and AutoPilot is going to go, okay, once it finishes, AutoPilot's going to go, oh, there's a new invoice. I need to get that sent. So very quickly, if I opened up, let's see if I can go there quickly here, and you can see it happening. Open up AutoPilot. It may be too late. Oh, I think it just sent. Okay, so sometimes if you have this monitoring, you'll actually see it going, oh, there's a new invoice, and this is the action, and it's creating, then it sends the invoice. So here it comes. So again, it's just coming to me to kind of simulate what your customer would see on the other end. And they get this invoice. So please find a cost control invoice for 1015. This, of course, wouldn't say cost control. This would be your company. This invoice regarding our sales order 1043, dated on this date, in the amount of $195.62, due on or before this date. So it pulls some of that information right off of the document, and your customer will get, let's see what they'll get as an invoice. They're going to get this invoice. Okay, it's going to have your information here. It's going to have who it's sent to, the shipped to, and the order was for 12, and we're billing for 3. So we're billing for the 3 that went out at $62.10, and there's the total down here. Okay, so this is just standard NAV process. The only thing that we're putting in the middle here is that AutoPilot is looking to see, hey, is there a new order? Is there a new invoice? Is there a new ASN? You know, and it's going, oh, there's one. I need to get on it and send it. So it's reacting very, very quickly and sending these things out and generating this invoice to your customer. So I hope you kind of like this idea. And let's see if I want to go back. Yeah, no. Okay, so let's see how you like this concept. So let me know. I'm going to put up here on the screen several different things that you might use AutoPilot for, such as auto-sending weekly reports. I showed you that at the beginning. So grab your mouse and just click up there for me. There you go. Or would you use it for sending sales order confirmations or advanced shipment notices, or maybe importing web orders? Some people might want to import web orders or run some month-end process. There's all sorts of things. I think on this one, you can check multiple of those if you have more than one AutoPilot that you might use. Everybody gets a chance to vote here. Just grab your mouse and go up there and click one of those. And I appreciate, we've got 15 of you on the call today, so it's great. Appreciate you taking a little time with me and learning about AutoPilot. 80% voting. Okay, so let's see what the people are saying here. So I'm going to share this back with you. So everybody likes the idea of auto-sending weekly reports. That was the first thing I showed you. 58% send sales order confirmations. 58 send advanced shipment notices. And import web orders. Quite a few people like that one as well. That's good. And then 67% of you said run end-of-month processes, which is definitely, you just don't want to have to mess with those things. And you can just queue them up and put them in a pilot on it and just say go, and it just does it. So that is, I think you guys are getting the concepts here. At least I hope you are. I mean, the purpose of this webinar is to really kind of make sure you understand this. Okay. So I'm going to mention a couple of the more frequently asked questions about this product. First of all, how do you order AutoPilot and how does it get installed? So the first thing that I got to let you know is AutoPilot is ordered through your local NAV reseller or consultant. Or if you don't have a reseller or consultant, you can just give us a call and order it directly here through Cost Control Software. So we'll help you. If you don't have somebody, we'll help you find somebody or order the product for you as well. And we can help with that installation. A lot of people say, oh, this looks like it's going to be really tough to install and to set up. We can help with all that. That's what we do. And everybody wants to know what the price is. So the price starts at, I want to emphasize that, $1,650, and it kind of goes up from there based on the number of users. It's still very reasonable. If you would like a quote, I just need to know the number of users on your NAV license, and we will be glad to send you a quotation. It does have the typical 16% maintenance, and typically when we do it, we will help you install the software, and we'll train you on how to use it, or we'll help you set up your first few pilots along the way. Okay, so let's get a little feedback here, see what you guys think about this seminar. Okay, so give me your feedback here as far as the session that you've learned today. You can't wait to get this installed, or you have several applications for this AutoPilot and you want to get this going, or you want your boss to see AutoPilot. A lot of people come to this as kind of a preview, which is not unusual, and then say, maybe I do want my boss to see this. So that's okay too. And we'll be glad to send to you this replay so that your boss can see the software as well. Or if you want us to send you a quote, just click that box and that will trigger, and we'll definitely get a quotation sent off to you. Okay, I'm going to close the poll in 3. Got to hurry. 2, 1, close. Okay, and so what are people are saying? 38% can't wait to get this installed, so that's great. 50% have several applications for this solution, so that's good as well. 63%, a lot of you want your boss to see this add-on. We do as well, and that's why we'll send you the replay so that you can let them see the video presentation of what you have just seen. It'll be basically what you've just seen. And 38% said send me a quote, so we'll be glad to do that. So I appreciate your interest in knowing the pricing on the product. Okay, so let me see if we clear that off. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to open this up to some last questions. And first, I guess I better put up my contact information. Again, my name was Rick Baxter. I'm in Carmel, Indiana. Just a lot of people know, where are you broadcasting this from? I'm in Carmel, Indiana. I've been a NAV reseller and consultant and developer for 20 plus years now, so long time. my contact information. There's my email address, and the phone number is the best because I've got a phone right here on my desk. But I do accept email. So let's see if we got some questions. Make sure to mention we have only touch. Yeah. Okay. So Doug, my developer, of course, has put in a comment here, which I appreciate saying, is we've really focused on just probably the most common usages of AutoPilot, which is this concept of being able to send out invoices, shipment notices, documents. So I've kind of covered some of the very basic things, but there's so many other applications, such as sending and receiving large quantities of documentation. Got customers that get new price sheets from their vendors almost daily. Prices change so much, and they want to import those prices and update their master file with prices. So there's all sorts of applications for this product. So if you're not sure, just reach out to me and say, hey, well, I'm seeing this, but what about we got this application? Would that work? And, maybe, and if it won't, I'll let you know that as well. I'm going to be real upfront. If you say, you got some application and we just don't think it'll work, I'll do a little research first, of course, but then I'll let you know whether that would work or not. Okay, so any other kind of questions or comments in here? Let me see if I got anything. Okay. All right. So that's it for today. We're going to end up a little bit early. I don't see any other questions. Always feel free to contact me with any questions or comments. And if you like the product, we will be sending out the replay and an invitation. We had several of you requested a quote. We will get that to you as well. Thank you all very much. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.